Welcome to my nightmare.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Trigger Troy, and welcome back to Man of Horror, my horror podcast where I talk all things scary. Now, if you've been following along, you know I like to do a top 5 list that I've personally compiled of some of my favorites, and then I like to do a review and rating of a recent horror movie. Today's special because I'm rating 2 films, both VHS 94 and VHS 99. The list for today is actually inspired by the 2 films that I'm reviewing, and it's going to be my top 5 found footage horror films. Now, if you know of the VHS franchise, which if you're listening to this podcast, then you should, because if not, you're just trash, right? No, but seriously though, they're like some of the most creative and interestingly weird films. Each one is like an anthology film based on several videotapes found from like one of the main plot lines. And it's like, you know, either it's a cult forcing people to watch the videos in order, or a kid who finds like some weird ass tapes. Just like whatever the main plot is, the VHS films all, you know, have a bit of everything collectively. It's like 5 different films. In between them, there's aliens, zombies, vampires, ghosts, just like literally a bit of everything. So stick around for the double review / rating. But before that, here's my top 5 found footage horror films.
What movie is this from? I spit on your garage.
All right, so in 5th place, I bring you Hell House LLC. This movie, honestly, on first watch, had me fucking shook, man. Like, listen, it came out in 2015, and me and my friends watched it when COVID first hit. You know, I remember we were like all camped out, and I remember wanting everyone in the movie to just be fucking smart because I don't know, it was just anyway. It's like this whole deal about it being based on a true story from some incident that took place in 2008 at the same time, and I gave into that shit. I later found out that it's not based on a true story, but that like just watching it on that first time, it was just like honestly for like 2 weeks. And this is like back when I stayed by I lived alone for a second, and man, that shit, my place, like I kept lights on, like fuck that. But I don't know, like the hotel in the movie was really eerie, and then like they did this thing with like these moving clowns, like that'll be like big ass clown mannequin doll things, and they be sitting in one area, and then you look at them and their face one way, and then the camera pans back to them, and they're looking in a completely different way, and it was really effective. I don't know, man. Clowns, just all of it. But it's funny how horror works though, because when I rewatched, I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, you know, it's not that bad, but still, the moving clowns, like I said, was very effective. Just not as terrifying on second watch. Either way, definitely check it out. In 4th place, and this one is actually a bit spiritual for me too. It kind of hits a spiritual chord, but As Above, So Below. I'm like in love with the concept of this movie. It's all about the basic belief, the basic, I guess, property of alchemy. As above, so below, as within, so without. And the idea that what happens is that, you know, whatever goes on in higher realms happens in lower realms. And being spiritual, that's like a concept I've studied on my journey, and I just loved how they represented it in this film. Like, basically, a group of people go underground and discover the entrance to hell, like a hellmouth, while they're looking for the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, the Philosopher's Stone is real. J.K. Rowling is probably a witch. Anyway, and like the things that haunt them on the earthly plane haunt them in hell too. But instead of it being, you know, mental haunts, it's like literal manifested physical haunts. And it's wild because I think that's how hell works. You know, whatever you can't let go of here, when you die, you go to hell to that moment of what you can let go of. So like, it's not necessarily that you just go to hell, but whatever you can't let go of is your hell. Anyway, that's real deep. Real deep. Anyway, overall, this one is like definitely worth a watch if you like horror that like literally explores the mythology of hell. So, in a third place, a film from one of my new favorite horror franchises, VHS. Now, as I stated before, you know, these movies are anthology based and they're shown from the perspective of someone watching a collection of videotapes that they found. The first one was it completely caught my attention. I was like, okay, well, what the hell is this? Like, I need to see more. And like overall, like all of the movies in general are like just really creative in a lot of the storytelling. Like one of my favorites in this one is there's this man who's like on a bike ride in the woods, and unknowingly there's a zombie apocalypse going on like everywhere else, or you know, like an outbreak, and everything is like from the view of his GoPro. And so we see him get attacked, and we see him turn, and then we see him attack people. And what makes it interesting is it's mostly, like I said, from the GoPro, so we don't really see him. A lot of it is like his voice. Like we hear the transformation from human, you know, regular him talking, because it's like it starts with him talking on the phone and shit like that, you know, pretty regular, and we hear him screaming and everything like that from being attacked. Then we hear the the blood like gushing from his mouth, and how his voice starts to get the zombie twinge. Like, you know, it's just it's very wild. It's wild, and it's really interesting how it ends, because he appears to like maintain some humanity. And so I won't, you know, give it away, but definitely check it out ASAP. And if you haven't seen any of the VHS films and you're a horror fan,
shame.
Yeah. So next, a second place, straight up found footage classic, and you should have known this would be coming. The Blair Witch Project. There's so many things about this movie that just worked. One of my favorite fun facts was like how they use completely unknown actors and actresses, or actress, because just the one, but either way, unknown actors, to add to like the effect of them being missing. It was genius, actually. You know, I don't think people put in that much thought nowadays when it comes to marketing a film, but like it felt real. You know what I'm saying? And when you watch it, if you've seen it, you know, it's definitely gritty looking, like complete 90s camcorder quality, and it's a few scenes of just like extreme paranoia that like spill through the screen. I think one of my favorite moments is when the friend, Josh, I believe it is, gets angry at the girl when he realizes they're like back at where they started after they've been walking around all day and trying to get out of the forest. And it's perfect because the way her voice trembles trying to calm him down, you realize she's trying to calm herself down too, like, because she's the one holding the camera. So her voice goes from confidence of like, no, this isn't the same area, to just complete confusion, fear, and like sadness of like, no, this is, it can't be, like, you know, it I don't know, it was perfect. It was so perfect. And the famous snotty nose crying close-up scene like came from this, and like every time I see it, I only see Scary Movie, because it was so close, so fucking close, man. But either way, Blair Witch Project, total classic. If you haven't seen this one, and this is whether you're a horror fan or not, you definitely should have seen this one by now. So if not,
Shame.
yeah. But you know what? I'll dare to say the remake is okay if you saw. I don't know. Whatever. In the first place, now this one is a Spanish horror classic, Wreck. If you've seen Quarantine, then that's basically what this is, except it's the original. And I'll dare to say, you know, both work pretty well. I feel like a lot of people didn't like the American version, or maybe not a lot of people, but like quote unquote horror aficionados feel like Wreck is better. But I can easily say that while both work, Rec is much more effective somehow. Like it has, basically some of the same scenes, but one example is like the final scene, the infamous dark shot when the reporter and the cameraman end up in like the top floor apartment and there's like a rabies monster zombie in the room. Yes, rabies monster zombie, because what the fuck else is it? That's like the best way to describe them. But anyway, it's in the room and they're like moving around in the night vision and it's deep. Like it works better on Rec for some reason. And I can't even really tell you why. But either way, I won't shame bail you if you've at least seen Quarantine. But if you haven't at least seen Quarantine, then
shame.
All right. So that was my top 5 found footage horrors. Definitely check them out, any of them, if you haven't seen them. Great films, super dope. And again, found footage is just, literally what it says. Found footage.
Okay, now let that shit just mutilate her white ass and leave.
Okay, so now it's time to review 2 dope-ass films from a dope-ass franchise, VHS 94 and VHS 99. Again, and I know I've said it already twice in this goddamn episode, but whatever. There's times to charm. I fucking love the VHS movies. I have a thing for horror anthologies as a writer, and then as a photographer, I love that there's different styles and, different styles used throughout the different films. And then specifically these last 2, there's an old film aesthetic that just is so perfect, man. There's definitely a difference in the 2 films, but I feel like they have to be rated or reviewed together. Like, I don't know. Once I guess, explain what I liked about them or, how I felt about them, then maybe that'll make more sense. But, yeah. So, I want to do the most recent first, which is VHS 99. My first note is, again, for both films, that they are so fucking 90s, yo. Like, it's very nostalgic. I love the quality, like I said, and it's done really smart because, again, this is 1999. So the quality was a bit better visually, but still that old grungy America's Funniest Home Videos like visual. So they really honed in on the different qualities for both movies. This one has some good stories in it, and I noticed it was more geared towards 90s teens. There's one story I really liked until like the ending because it felt slightly rushed, but it's like this sorority story about hazing, and that shit used to really be a problem, man. Like, this girl is, long story short, spoiler alert, buried alive. Wild shit, right? But then, like, through one reason or another, as you may have guessed, she dies, which I guess buried alive implies that, but whatever. Anyway, she dies and then comes back to get revenge. And it's wild as fuck how it happens. And another thing this movie did overall was show how annoying fucking 90s teens were at times. Like, all the cliques and cliches. Like, I was a late 2000s teen, and I was probably annoying too, but I don't know. Maybe teens are just annoying in general, but nevertheless, fuck these kids. Like, these sorority girls, bitches, Jesus. There's another story that's like this old episode of like Double Dare and Legends of the Hidden Temple and just stuff like that, and it's crazy as fuck. Specifically, there's a moment where this girl hurts herself and basically breaks her fucking leg, and nobody does anything because she signed a waiver. It's like blood everywhere. It was weird. It's weird, wild, but again, completely, utterly, and totally fucking effective. So I decided to give VHS 99 a 3 out of 5 stars. 1 star for story creativity. Again, it's an anthology series, and I think all of the stories were really good. Outside of, the sorority one being a little rushed for me. And I guess maybe it wasn't thinking about like the time frame it had. It just, I don't know, the way that the ending happened, just I don't know, I don't like it. But another one for watchability, you know, it does keep you there, it does keep your attention. There's like this one story, that like it's just like a ghost band that kills these asshole teenagers, and before they kill them, they like sing in like this harmony from like one of their old songs, and it's like, "Get off my fucking stage." And like the guy like flies up into the air and like splats back down to the ground in pieces. And I don't know, I can't stop saying that shit, man. Get off my fucking stage. Anyway, and then the last star is for Creative Kills. You definitely almost have to give this away because it's an anthology series, you know. The stories were creative, and then just a lot of the depths. There's like a Medusa type story. Loved it. And like I said, that ghost band shit, that shit was great. I don't know, I fucked with that one. So again, a 3 out of 5. Now over to the more adult side, we have VHS 94. And again, like I mentioned, the video quality thing that they did, you know, the video quality with this one took it further back than 99. And it definitely shows. It's a bit more grainy, and I think I like this one a little bit better. And it's not in a bad way, but again, you know, it was more adult horrors, you know, which a lot of the VHS films overall are. There's like maybe 2 kid-related stories throughout all of the movies. So this one was closer to form, I guess. And I would say the best way to look at it is think like Silence of the Lambs versus I Know What You Did Last Summer. One of my favorites in this one visually is like this wild ass story about a mad scientist who does experiments on people, right? He works on fusing humans with machines in like these super fucked up ways. And this shit is like the visual future because it's so, it's like fucking beautiful. Like I would watch it on shrooms or acid if I wasn't afraid of it coming out of the TV at me. That's how fucking realistic and dope that shit looks, man. So I don't even know how to describe it, but some of the fusions that the scientists made or whatever were shit out of like nightmares. It just looked so real. It felt like stuff that I could literally imagine seeing in person, and it was so effective. Another story from this one is like this news reporter exploring an urban legend in this sewer tunnel, and that shit's kind of creepy, man. Like it's weird, it's creepy, and then like the ending gets really culty. It's real interesting. It felt like an old episode of Tales from the Crypt or like Creep Show, and it felt very reminiscent of that time, you know, when urban legends were still very prevalent. And like as I'm saying that, I don't even know if they are anymore. Anyway, but yeah, like a lot of the stories felt like that whole Tales from the Crypty Creep Show vibe, because there's like this other story with this white supremacist group that kidnap a vampire, and it's wild. A lot of the shit is just wild and crazy as fuck. But with this one, I gave it the same rating. I gave it, 3 out of 5 stars. 1 for watchability. You want to watch it. It pulls you in. You genuinely enjoy it. And like I said, I enjoyed this one a little bit better than the other one. So that should tell you something. Another for story creativity, because same thing. It was very, very, very creative. But the VHS films tend to be very creative. So that's not anything too special. But the last one I gave it was Kill Count. And I gave it that because in this one, it's like multiple fucking massacres, like quite literal massacres in this movie. So yeah, definitely got Kill Count. I'm pretty sure there's like hundreds of dead people in this fucking movie. Definitely check out both of these and the rest of the VHS films, VHS 1, 2, VHS Viral, and these 2. So it's 5 altogether. Dope films. Definitely check them out. And yeah.
Shut your ass up! Look, he's crazy now.
All right, y'all. Thanks for sticking around and coming back to take a listen. Your local man of horror truly appreciates it. Follow my official Instagram page for the pod, Man of Horror _podcast, and check me out next week. I'm not fully sure what the list is going to be just yet, but I'm pretty sure I know the movie I'm going to review. But just in case that changes, I'm going to shut my mouth right now. Anyway, come check me out next week, guys. Stay spooky, folks. Peace.